Welcome back to a Tomboy Reacts. On tap, we have today Why MrBeast's Brother Didn't Succeed on YouTube by Sunny V2. Now, I never heard of MrBeast's brother. So, I'm pretty sure if that was his brother, especially if it was his little brother, wait, hey, big brother, little brother, it doesn't matter. I know that has to be hard shoes to walk in because you already, if this man was already, like, MrBeast was already as big as he is, when his brother came along and trying to do YouTube and stuff like that, you already in his shadow. Like, that's got to be, like, that's one of the hardest things to work your way out of. Your family member's shadow. When they're so good at this, they built so much success around something, and you're doing it, or you want to do it, you just want to try to do it. That shadow can be big. I'm pretty sure Sunny V2 will probably mention this in this video. So let's see.
Mr. Bro, the brother of MrBeast, did a pretty reasonable job of maintaining an average career monthly view count of between 1 and 4 million. However, he'd post a total of only 29 full-length videos before disappearing from the channel around.
And it looks like he's getting pretty decent views. Like, this man is getting views.
10 months ago. It's when we take a quick glance over these 29 full-length videos that we begin to notice the very first reason
I am MrBeast's secret brother. I mean, he did have branded himself right off the bat with that.
As to why CJ was unable to find success.
Oh, his name was CJ. Okay, well, he is CJ.
His brother had, being that the Mr. Bro videos were almost indistinguishable from MrBeast's, giving it this feeling of off-branded.
That's one of the worst things you could be called, too, an off-brand of somebody.
As opposed to its own fresh project. The editing ideas and thumbnails were basically identical to.
And especially if they're identical, pretty much. That looks pretty much identical. Who's to say? I mean, if they're identical, most people are gonna gravitate towards either the original or the person who has the most views or subscribers. They're gonna be like, "Oh, this is off brand." People already say a lot of people copy off other people. Anyway. So you're doing videos just the same, and people know you're his brother. They're just gonna watch his videos over yours.
MrBeast, whilst the crew, which included individuals such as Chandler's brother, didn't exactly feel all that creative or nuanced. CJ equals Jimmy, Zach equals Chandler.
Look, somebody just did. That's horrible.
Tyler equals Chris. Together, they are the budget MrBeast.
See, and then too, you got people saying this, like, that has to hit you in your soul. Like, he probably already worries about that. And then to have people are just saying it consistently in his video, under his video in his comment section, just seeing it every time he posts, that has to hurt.
Team. It was as if he was the exact same as MrBeast, while at the same time being the complete opposite.
And I know MrBeast probably trying to coach him. I know he probably tried to coach him on YouTube video.
The reason for this will be explained during CJ's first major appearance on YouTube, in which Jimmy would explain the extent to which Mr. Bro was going to be guided by MrBeast.
You have 5 helpers, a warehouse, office space. You got a $100,000 starting budget.
2 pennies.
We're doing your thumbnails for you, and we're helping you think of content.
Aren't you editing too?
So, I mean, he pretty much doing everything.
I'm shouting you out and giving you over 1 million subscribers.
Now, it seemed like Jimmy was trying to teach his brother how to fish as opposed to giving him a fish, which was certainly the right approach in this.
Yeah, but you're pretty much doing everything for him.
Scenario. The systems were set up for CJ in a way where he could achieve instant success whilst learning about YouTube in the process.
Right.
The problem was that since
But then it's like, you're gonna make all those mistakes that he didn't tell you to make in front of millions of people.
Had absolutely no prior experience with YouTube, he wasn't really mixing these systems with his own pre-developed style or self-learned knowledge, and as a result was rather just replicating MrBeast's branding in its entirety, giving it somewhat of an inauthentic feeling.
With Jimmy's mindset with giving money away, being a philanthropist, doing all the great things that he does every single day to make a difference in people's lives, I have that same mindset, and I also want to do the same thing just like my brother.
Now, it's probably safe to say that this was being done
most people want to be able to do that, so it's not really a copy thing. Most people want to be able to do that, but it's like everything else is the same. he had to bring his own originality to it, and he probably just didn't do that too much.
Somewhat deliberately, so Mr. Bro could capitalize on MrBeast's existing brand, and in a lot of ways there was massive upside to this approach.
I mean, his stuff is branded. His brand is pretty much I'm MrBeast's brother. That's what it looks like. It should have been more. I understand the logic behind it and I understand the system behind it, but it's like you gotta be original too. As far as a system goes, some system has to be original, and you have to have some kind of your own brand.
We say that Mr. Bro quote-unquote didn't succeed because we're comparing him to MrBeast. However, compared to any other new channel, his beginning was explosive. He did over 10 million views within his first 2 months on the platform.
Way better than I'm doing.
Cross over the 1 million subscriber mark
lot
prior
better
to
than
even
me.
that, and his continual ability to gain upwards of 1 million views per upload, even after the initial shout-out, would have without a doubt been, at least in part, a result of him having the ability to replicate the MrBeast success.
The ability, the budget, the production, the people, the team.
Formula almost in its entirety. Additionally, being so similar to Jimmy, many could market himself as MrBeast's brother with a similar profile picture and all, giving him a continual attachment to MrBeast's relevancy. However, it was clear that being so similar to MrBeast also put a bad taste in some of his audience's mouths, judging from this Reddit post with over 1,000 upvotes, which was titled, "Guess Mr. Bro is just straight up copying his brother now."
That has to hurt. Everybody, you already thinking that. Like, you already think this. And you have people just telling you this every day.
Written in what seemed to be somewhat of a negative tone. Being marketed as MrBeast's brother also had its own disadvantages. It's likely that many of Mr. Bro's views were coming from people clicking on the videos to see what a video by MrBeast's brother looks like, as opposed to clicking on the video for the title, thumbnail, and idea itself. While this is probably
looks like he's wearing MrBeast's apparel.
A huge advantage for Mr. Bro's click-through rate, if people were clicking on the videos to simply observe the differences and similarities between the two brothers, there was no requirement to watch the full video. As a result, it's unlikely that CJ's watch time and audience retention was anything close to Jimmy's, which would have been a further disadvantage against CJ's channel. This sentiment of being too similar to MrBeast can be felt further when looking at the comments on the Gamer from Mars video from about a year ago, made on a similar topic to this one. He tried to promote himself as MrBeast's brother, not CJ.
Yeah, you should have promoted yourself as CJ. Now you could have said, yeah, MrBeast's brother and all of that. Could have did collabs with, kind of like, I know y'all might not, I know you might not agree with this comparison, but I think it's a perfect comparison. Kind of like Jake and Logan Paul. They have their own brand, but they also connected to each other. That's how they should have went about it.
You cannot try to be a carbon copy of something when you're just not. As always, MrBeast's brother should just be himself. That isn't a surefire path to success, but it's important to the longevity of the channel.
Right.
Simple answer. If I'm going to watch MrBeast's content, I'm going to watch it from MrBeast, not the great value version. He needs to do his own thing.
Completely agree, except for the name calling. You have to say the great value version, but I completely agree. That's what I was saying in the beginning. If it's pretty much MrBeast, I'm gonna watch it from the person who originally did it, with the most viewed, and then I know, what I'm saying, I'm watching from the original.
The problem with these comments is that differentiating yourself from others is substantially easier said than done.
That's
It's a
true.
multi-year process. Every YouTuber goes through this. You begin by replicating someone you really like, which was where CJ was at. Then as time progresses, you discover your own nuances, try your own tricks,
You discover you go into your own originality
and develop your own style. However, CJ might have stopped uploading before getting to that point where he could shoot off in his own direction. But again, this goes back to the problem of being branded as MrBeast's brother. Can he even shoot off in his own direction if he needs to maintain that image? Additionally, is he going to be able to develop his own style if the editing, thumbnails, and ideas are all being done for him? Is he going to be able to formulate a baseline understanding of what does and doesn't work on the platform if he isn't learning everything himself from
the you're not learning anything really, because you're not going through every single motion. Now you might be learning some stuff, granted, you might be learning some stuff, but every single motion you have to go through, he's not going through it.
up. This question highlights another point that's worth diving into, being that CJ never really got the opportunity to go through that rocky patch of developing an intuitive foundational understanding for why certain videos do and don't work, usually achieved through a bunch of early failure. Now you could probably argue that this is somewhat unimportant because it can be taught, but only to a certain extent. You learn a little bit by someone else telling you about their failure or something they've learned, but you learn a whole lot more when you put an entire week's worth of work into something that you think will be a banger before uploading it for 100 views. He never went through the hard work from the years before you get popular, so he doesn't know what it's like. You have to start with the corny videos. Therefore, he's not getting enough views. The other problem with skipping this early rough patch is that you potentially fail to develop a deeply meaningful long-term story associated with the channel that you've built.
My life would be completely different
and it's an
without the Google
unskippable
Career
ad
Certificate.
In the case of MrBeast, for example, much of his strong public image and goodwill comes from the obvious vibe that he's been to hell and back in order to get to his current position.
I remember when Jimmy was 14 years old, in his room, editing his videos super late at night of Minecraft, literally just to post it and get maybe 100, 200 views.
His 10 plus years worth of experience radiates from every fiber in his being, adding this indescribable flavor of confidence to his videos. CJ or Mr. Bro, on the other hand, even with a similar success formula to MrBeast, still gives off the energy that he's a bit of a newbie. His lack of confidence—
That's true. People can smell it. They can see it and smell it. I don't know how, but they can.
shines through and it can be felt by the audience. CJ just needs to have more confidence in his creativity and how he directs the videos. When you watch MrBeast, he's very likable and entertaining because he always has a plan and knows how to keep things rolling. CJ understandably looks a little uncomfortable, so he doesn't seem to have full enough control of his content.
And that's because
the other problem associated with not developing a meaningful long-term story is that there's probably minimal emotional connection to the channel, making it pretty simple to quit out of the blue without feeling as though you're giving up on multiple years of hard work. There are so many YouTubers who are no longer achieving the same level of success as they were in their prime, yet continue to upload videos to a dwindling audience, presumably because it's extremely hard to walk away from a project.
Yeah, it's extremely hard. You done built this connection, put all these work hours in, there's blood, sweat, and tears into it. It's hard to walk away from something like that. It's hard. It's hard.
Or brand that you've invested years of time into. Meanwhile, CJ seemed to have the opposite experience of this. There was a total of only 1 year and 9 months between his first and last upload, which might not have been enough time to cement his identity as
then too, he might have just made enough money to where he was like, oh, well, I'm done. Screw this. I don't need to deal with this. I done made enough money already.
YouTuber, resulting in minimal downside or regret if he were to remove him.
If you think about it, Nick basically got monetized off his first video he ever uploaded. So it's like, all right.
Self from the platform.
And you just work like hell, to be honest, for 10 years. Like, there's probably a good chance you'll make it. But if you do that over the course of 6 months or a year, I don't know. You know?
This also highlights that maybe CJ was never actually making videos because he enjoyed the content creation process. Maybe he'd simply seen MrBeast's insane level of success and was subsequently too focused on the potential rewards, whilst the required level of natural motivation—
And you will never go far with that. You might get a good ways, but it's not sustainable for the rest of your life. You have to love what you're doing, actually like what you're doing. I love reactions, so that's why I'm doing it, and that's why I'll probably do it for a very, very, very long time. I love talking about stuff, so you can ask anybody in my family, friends, anybody close to me. I will sit and talk I will sit and talk about what the world happened in this movie, TV show, anything. I will give a analysis. So this is perfect for me. But for him, he probably just, oh, I see the money, I'm finna do this. I see the money, I'm finna do that. I mean, hey, it is what it is.
Never really existed in the first place. Yeah, he sees his brother's success and wants to be just as successful. Problem is, he can't come up with his own content, so he just looks bad. I try to watch him to support him despite not liking his stuff, but I really can't. It's a waste of my time to try. Sorry if that's harsh, but it's my honest opinion.
If he quit, it's no wonder why other people didn't watch him as much or stopped watching him, because people can feel that too. You're not even interested in your own content that you're putting out, so why should I be interested in it?
Mr. Bro is not his brother. We could go deeper and say that maybe he did want to be a YouTuber, yet the type of videos that he was making weren't really what CJ wanted to make authentically. However, he had no option but to make the videos he was making, as he was replicating MrBeast's formula and wasn't following his own genuine curiosity.
That's big too.
or genre that he enjoyed. MrBeast is often seen discussing the importance of video ideas, stating that if anyone were to apply his viral ideas to their own channel, they would go viral as well.
Obviously, a lot of it is just in the ideas. Like anyone, if they did this, it would have gone viral. Yeah.
So if anything, at least Mr. Bro was an interesting experiment to see how viral you could make a brand new channel go if it was set up for success by one of YouTube's greatest creators. Plus, there's really nothing stopping CJ from coming back and continuing on from where he left off if he has a change of heart toward the platform.
Hey, Sonny, you hit the nail on the head in every aspect. I completely agree. I mean, you got bullying aspect. People might have bullied him off. You got the fact that he wasn't original to begin with. And then you have the aspect of maybe they wouldn't let him create his own content and use him just as like this example. Hey, I mean, it's so many different variables. He could come back whenever he wants to and make it and make it the channel whatever he wants to make it. So maybe he will. I don't know. Or maybe he just made enough money to where he was like, this is not worth it. And then bounced. I don't know. But it is what it is. That's his life. And he did what he did this experiment in this chapter of his life. And I hope he at least enjoyed some of it. That's hard getting out of somebody's shadow, especially if it's a family member. That's a hard beast to tackle. But my social media is in the description below, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace.